everyone. I'm super excited to see all of you. Well, obviously I can't see you, but I will see you in the chat. As always, I'm your host, Lyric Swin. Dani is coming. So before anybody's like, where's Dani? Dani is coming. But as we know, and Dani is a big Pacers fan, there is an Indiana Pacers game tonight. And so she is going to be anxiously awaiting the results of that Pacers game in the meantime. So until then, we're going to get started without her. I promised that I would play some tunes. So, here it is. I promised that we would get into the news of the week.
Monster on the beat, ho, Debo, any rap nigga, he a free throw, man down, call like Amber Lambs, tell him breathe, bro, nail a nigga to the cross, he walk around like Tizo, what's up with these jabroni?
Hi everybody, I'm starting to see people come in the chat. Obviously we're talking about Dynamite tonight. I have Kendrick playing because why not? It's been the news of the week, and it was also mentioned on Dynamite tonight. So it's been pretty fun. I see people still coming in. And like I said, Dani is coming. She's finishing up the Pacers game. But let's go ahead and get into the Dynamite card, because I will say a lot of what happened tonight. I can't say that the matches. I'm sorry to do that. I can't say that the matches are exactly the best part all the time tonight, but there was a lot of really good storyline advancement. So we kick off with Orange Cassidy versus Trent Beretta. It's very obvious that this was not going to be the last match between them. I figured as much when we headed into the match earlier today, just because this story has obviously been brewing for a while, and obviously best friends are very integral to AEW, and they've been a part of AEW's history since, I would say, day one. So I highly doubt that a match as important as this was just going to end in like one match on Dynamite. It ended up being like 13 minutes. Like, I have much higher expectations. The match itself was fine, but I'm just saying, like, I expected to be a bloody spectacle on pay-per-view when this finally comes to a head between Orange and Trent. So obviously Orange gets the victory. Trent beats his ass afterwards. And Don Callis comes out to save Orange. I still don't quite understand where that's going, why it's happening, but whatever. And Chris Statlander came out because she is more than a woman, indeed. And yeah, I can't quite say I really know where this is going with the Don Callis stuff, but I think that Orange and Trent definitely have a better match in them, and I think that it's going to be really good, and I think that it's going to be much more bloody. Somebody says I think we'll have a stip in Vegas. I agree. I think we're looking at, I don't want to say do Texas Death, because I feel like Texas Death matches have such a high bar in AEW, and I'm not saying they can't reach it, but I wouldn't even risk it. And there's been a fair amount pretty recently. Maybe a strap match. I'm gonna be honest, AEW hasn't done a steel cage match this year. I would love if they did one. Maybe a steel cage match at Anarchy or Arena is too much, but also at the same time, like, whenever AEW has done steel cage matches in the past, they've done them pretty early in the show. Like, I remember Jungle Boy versus Luchasaurus was the show opener. One time when they did their steel cage match. So who knows? I just don't think that Texas Death may be the exactly right call. But we'll see. We also had, I keep forgetting what was in between because I'm looking on Cage Match right now. But after the Orange and Trent match, we saw our EVPs. That's what happened. And obviously the EVP entrance is still the same as far as the title sequence. And so that's been pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. I like it. I hope that eventually Mercedes is at it. I'm not sure though. But Sorry, I'm going through to see what was the next thing on the card. Oh yeah, and so after that, we ended up having a Kenny Omega appearance. No, we had the Jack Perry promo that he cut last week first, and then after Jack appears, and most people had already seen it. It was already on social media. Then it was like Kenny Omega's up next, and I'm gonna be honest, I can't really tell you what was going on around that part because I was just like violently screaming for a very long time, and I couldn't stop. There was a lot of violent screaming coming out of me for this particular episode. It was kind of embarrassing actually, when I think about it. But Kenny greets us from a hospital bed, like, "Oh my god, my goat!" Like they really beat you down, and he says, Kazushka, and he says, Matthew and Nicholas and Jack, I will see you soon. And Kenny also said that he announced that there's going to be anarchy in the arena. There's going to be the Elite versus I can't even say this. He said versus who's going to, the greatest tag team of all time. I love my GOAT. Like, I love my GOAT, Kenny Omega, but he didn't even believe that. He knew he didn't believe that, but I appreciate it. He's such a company man. I really sold it. So he announced that those two would be the first two members of Team AEW, and that two other members would be, announced later in the night. Listen, he was doped up. My GOAT had just got his surgery for his diverticulitis. He was a little loopy. He wasn't thinking like himself. It's okay. He wasn't up there. He wasn't in his right mind, and it's okay. I never want to hear it again. I never want to hear that again. Never again. Never again. But I digress. Then we had where would I put this down? So they said they would announce that later in the night. So next we had Serena Deeb, a promo from her. I will say talking is not her strongest suit. I understood what she was trying to say with the seizures, but I think she kept getting off track, waiting on the crowd to like respond to stuff, and then like she just kept repeating herself. Nothing terrible, like nothing like to like be like, oh my gosh, get her the fuck off my screen. Nothing like that. But especially up against somebody like Tony, who is just so comfortable on the mic. And I just feel like the entire game shifted when she came on screen. I'm not gonna lie, I'm fully on the timeless Tony Storm train again. Like now that the wrestling is matching the screen time that she's getting with the talking, I'm a fan. And I think somebody said this, yeah. It didn't help that the crowd was booing her and cheering for Tony. It didn't help. Like it's very clear. Tony is very popular. And I think that just about almost anybody on the roster currently that's healthy, that they put up against her in the foreseeable future, that's not like Mariah or like eventually Mina, I think they're going to get booed. Like they're going to have to bring somebody back for Tony, like or like a DMD or a Jamie or something like that, just because people are going to get booed. And I think like Serena Deeb hasn't been established enough since her return as like for people. Like I think people acknowledge that she's a really great wrestler. I think we all acknowledge that she's a really great wrestler, but I think that a lot of people are waiting to like sink their teeth into her as a character. And obviously people have been sunk their teeth into Tony as a character. And now that she's wrestling better too, like, nah, the people are not going to turn on her. But I digress. Then we had a backstage promo from Orange Cassidy and Rocky Romero. Now, this was funny. Like, I'm not going to lie. This was funny because Orange Cassidy was, oh my gosh, Dani's here. Yay. Oh my God. Oh.
Good morning. How's everybody doing tonight? In my defense,
Did they lose?
you know what you fucking did. How did everybody like the show? Didn't we interrupt her?
Oh, girl. I know that feeling. I'm a Heat fan, okay? I know that. Woo.
Rough night. Rough night.
Oh, I'm a Gamecock football fan. I know how that feels. Ooh. Wow. Well, no need to ask you how your day has been. Currently, I played Kendrick earlier. I can play it again. I'll play it again on the outro. We'll play it again.
Okay, cool. Or I can rap it for everybody if it comes to it. What is it? The braids?
It is the braids. I made it to the part of the card. I was just closing out talking about the Serena Deeb Tony promo.
Have you talked about our EVP?
Yes. Okay, so I can go back to Kenny Omega just for you because absolutely. So we're going back to Kenny Omega. Our GOAT was in a hospital bed. Look what they did to him. And his curls were still so beautiful. Look, did you see that? Look at that.
Come on, skincare routine. Is that what diverticulitis does to the skin? Look. I'll just add my little 2 cents about Kenny Omega as always. A promo from a hospital bed is insane. Very on brand.
He had the IV in his hand.
Cause he lives for this shit. Y'all don't get it.
You know what? And I think he had it in his hand, so we knew that shit that he said about FTR. That ain't me, y'all.
He's sick. He's sick.
He's sick.
He doesn't know. He doesn't. They got him on those good meds. All right. Cause nobody in their right minds.
He didn't even believe it, bro.
Like that about
my GOAT did not believe that shit. He did.
Yeah. But look, we've all said things we didn't mean under the influence. And so I'll forgive it. He's sick. He's getting treatment. He's getting better. Absolutely. When he gets back, he will, he will understand the errors. Kenny Omega, I love you down. You can do no wrong. You did bring FTR out here. So I didn't love that. But we'll circle back when you're better.
I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, we're gonna get to who joined the team later. And I did love that. But me, as me, I'm sorry. It's just like they got 4 of my faves and y'all only have 2. It's just math. It's just math. And it's just like
we're women in STEM at the end.
We're women in STEM, and Eddie and Brian, I fought with you. Y'all, I love y'all for sure. But some shit I just can't get jiggy with. And
boundaries are good. But I'll get into that later. But sorry, go ahead with Serena.
No, we were just closing that up. I was just saying that Serena's strength clearly isn't talking, and against somebody like Tony, I don't think she got the reaction that she wanted, because Tony, even though technically I guess she's a heel, like people love her, and now that she's actually wrestling too, like it's just like, I'm sorry, nobody on the current roster that she has any chance of having a program with anytime soon, aside from like the Mariah turn or something like that. Nobody is going to get cheered unless like they bring somebody back, like a DMD or like a Jamie or something. Like Toni Storm is untouchable at this point. Like
there's nobody that stacks directly against her, and
who has it all. Like I think that's the thing. Serena Deeb is a great wrestler. Like she's an amazing wrestler. but can we call her the total package, like this dynamic superstar?
World champion today?
World champion is straight off wrestling ability? Sure. Maybe in Japan or something. I think but here, like in a TV wrestling product, I don't, it's Tony is kind of like in the same position that Swerve is in the sense of Double or Nothing is clearly not going to be the night that they lose the title. Like this is not supposed to be the opponent that you really think is going to take it off.
But with that being said, I have some controversial takes for tonight. The first one being, I love the timeless Toni Storm character. I don't think we need the belt involved anymore. And so I'm ready to move on from her world title reign. I want the character to remain, and I want her to remain as sort of, top of the card. But I don't know, man. It's hard for me to look up and down that roster and think, like we said, as far as character, yeah, who's outdoing her in character work right now on the women's division? Nobody. But I don't know. I feel like it's starting to have run its course for me as a world champion thing.
You know what, though? I do think a part of that is because I don't think that she's been given dynamic opponents. I don't think that she's been given dynamic opponents at all. And it's just like she has this dynamic character, and like so she's going against these mostly one-dimensional opponents. And like, I think Thunder Rosa was probably the best of it, but Toni still hasn't had that feud that she can really sink her teeth into. And I don't at this point, unless Jamie Hayter comes back at Double or Nothing, I don't think we're going to get it until the build to
Mariah.
Yeah, and that's clearly being set up as a Wembley match, which is completely understandable. But it's that in between that's really scary. Now, I do think that once we get over this Double or Nothing hump and she completely turns her focus to a Forbidden Door with Mina Shirakawa, which we'll get into in a minute, I think then we'll be cooking with some gas. Now, that period between Forbidden Door and All In, we will probably be fully focused. The turn of Mariah will have either just have happened or be about to happen, and we'll be firmly on the road to All In. But I do think this Double or Nothing build, it's tiresome because it feels like all the others that we've already.
But something else I'll say. Like I said, I got some takes tonight. I am not all that excited about Double or Nothing. I wish I was. But there are some matches on there that are undoubtedly going to be good. Do we have blood feuds that are gonna pay off, at Double or Nothing? So far, not really. We've got storylines that make sense and are gonna culminate there, but like real niggas that hate each other, not really so far yet. Oh, people that hate each other. Not really so far yet. Forecasting a whole lot of title changes, not particularly. Dream matches, not particularly. So I don't know. And then look, honestly, the last two Dynamites ain't done much for me to convince me that this is going to be an all-time show in the same way that I felt like Dynasty was. So like, I don't know, man. I'm not moved. And even the card for next week, I'm like,
there's a card for next week.
I mean, just the matches that have been announced so far. Yeah.
What's announced for next week?
Girl, don't put me on the spot. What'd I say?
I haven't seen anything. That's why I was just asking. Sorry, I ain't.
No. You're good. Let me look. But sorry.
Okay, wait. Can some like I hate to put y'all to work, but if y'all know, like, can y'all just put it in the chat? Because I know y'all be looking. I know y'all know.
Yeah. Let me cook. But yeah, I mean, honestly though, like, I ain't been moved. All Elite Wrestling got the most stacked roster in the world, and I don't feel like we're moving that way. Oh, O'Reilly and Cope, is that on Dynamite or is that on?
No, that's a Collision.
That's what I thought.
That's a Collision, Vancouver. I will say now, one thing that I was shocked about is Dynamite had a 7-minute overrun tonight. God damn. Dynamite had a 7-minute overrun tonight. And we only know one match for a 3-hour collision rampage block. I don't give a fuck about them ratings.
Hand me the fucking pin. Hand me the pin.
But they did say Dragon's coming back, so I don't know who he's about to wrestle on Collision. But I agree. I think for me personally, I'm big on hyperfixation. That's an issue between me and my therapist.
Real.
And so when I get hyperfixated on like one storyline, like it can move me. Like I will say, the Elite, like that angle from last week, I knew then. I said this is going to power me until Forbidden Door. It was I know, like some people might joke about it, but like seriously, when I see Kenny Omega, it's like, oh, the birds are chirping, the sun is out, and so
I'm not even kidding. You know that part of Rapunzel where she's like, "Smell the grass, the dirt."
Like, bro,
that's what I hear.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, here's the thing. I agree with just about everything you're saying. There's like 3 matches. There's only 3 matches that have been announced or even teased for Double or Nothing that I think that I'm legitimately excited for. And I'm gonna be honest, it was only 2 before tonight, because I will say Swerve versus Christian really got over with me tonight. Like I liked the idea of it last week, but tonight it really got over with me. I can see that wasn't the case for you.
Well, I think Christian Cage's best asset is his mouth and the things that he's able to say. And Double or Nothing is in 2 weeks, and he ain't called nobody daddy a bitch. So I'm like, as far as a build, like it's hard to build a satisfying pay-per-view blow-off match in 3 weeks. I think that's where it comes down to for me, especially when somebody's talking strength is their talking points, you know? So I enjoyed the promo between them tonight. Do I care yet? Not really.
I will say I really liked it, and I think it was because I like the idea that I like the idea that Swerve has gotten over with the fans. He's become this baby face, but the locker room is holding him accountable for all the shit that he's done in the past. And like all of his like past demons and everybody that he fucked over in the past, like coming out to like haunt him. I think like I love that. Like I love that idea. Like the Mogul Embassy take it, like, you know, beating on him. I thought it was perfect. And also, I'm gonna be honest, this is the best. Well, I think that like that's also the point too of just essentially Swerve started looking for the world title as a babyface, and he left them behind. And I guess he thought that he could just pick them up whenever he wanted to.
And that's fair enough from a storyline perspective, but I just don't care. Like, okay, now you've been turned on, and I'm like, okay, but we haven't seen those people in forever. I don't care if they're with you or not. You were doing this by yourself before. So what is the big change now?
That's fair. And also Nana not being there, I will say, it did kind of hurt me a little bit.
I'm like, come on. Who's swerving while they drive?
But I do think that this was the best that Swerve has sounded on a microphone since he became babyface. I think like as far as like him, not rambling, he got straight to the point. He delivered all of his pop culture lines without stuttering. This was the best that he sounded as a babyface. And so I'm happy for it. I think I'm happy for it. I don't think it's going to main event. And the reason why is because they put Mercedes towards the end, and I don't think that Swerve versus Christian is going to main event. Like I don't think so.
But see, then I feel like I don't think they will either. And I honestly don't think they should. I think Mercedes and Willow should. But then you get into a conversation of like, okay, if your world title match is not your main event, you know, we started having this conversation when MJF was champion. You know, what are the optics? Is it not the most important, you know, title? Is it not the most important, thing that we should be paying attention to? So, I mean, and even Mercedes and Willow is for a mid-card title. So is it the biggest match? Yes, but we're going to have a women's championship match that's not going to main event. We're going to have a men's world championship match that's not going to main event. Are we treating the champions as if they're the people to beat?
That is fair. That is fair. I'm
here to be a hater tonight, y'all. No.
I think that is fair. But I do also think that I think that if there's any pay-per-view where you don't have the world champion main event, I do think it should be probably Double or Nothing, just because of how the show is set up. You have all Anarchy in the Arena, you have all these different things. And I think that I don't think it should make that much of a difference, but obviously discourse, we know it is like going to be like that to some people. Now, I feel like they're teasing something with Mercedes and the Elite.
They went back to back again.
And I think that would, and clearly, the Bucks not fucking with Swerve. And it would make, I feel like we're getting to a head where the Bucks just might just flat out say, yeah, Mercedes, you can have the main event. So what is it when Mercedes sell the?
Because we hate you. We hate Swerve.
Mercedes sell her soul. Duh, she is evil. She's going to rip Willow's heart out.
She's told y'all several times over.
She's going to rip Willow's heart out.
Yeah.
So I do think, I don't think it's the end of the world if Swerve doesn't main event. And the reason why is because now that they've kind of built this clear wall between him and Ospreay, now they seem to be heading in two different directions. I don't think the fear should be as, how do I say it, as rampant as it was of just oh my gosh, he's going to lose it at All In anyway. I think it's more so of a question mark. Now, like I said, anything could happen. Anything could happen. There's no one to say that it's not.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. But I think and we're shout out to I was gonna say shout out to Black Girl Wrestling, but that's me. I was gonna plug Black Girl Wrestling because I'm a little tipsy because we're doing an episode this upcoming week talking about the Ospreay problem. And that, we seem to always be having conversations about Ospreay as world champion when, it's a matter of when, not really if. But he is so good that his moment could be any moment.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be now. And once he is world champion, what are they gonna do with that? Are we just putting the belt on you because we think you're the best in the world? A valid reason. What's the plan? We don't want to rush to put the belt on Ospreay. And so I think but I do think that if we keep having situations like this, maybe because Ospreay Danielson was better than Swerve Samoa Joe. I fear that Ospreay Roddy is going to be better than Christian and Swerve. That's not to say that one wrestler is better than another, but who are we setting up for success and presenting as the guy?
I mean, I will say, though, at the same time, though, Roderick Strong has fallen down the card, but it's just
because he's never here.
And no, I'm just saying, Will Ospreay is just so good to the point to where, honestly, you could probably put him in the ring with Dustin Rhodes, and he'll find a way to make it match of the night.
Crazy.
It's crazy. Bro, crazy. Man, it's crazy. I think that, especially after listening to a lot of Ospreay's interviews lately, I think he has plans for that international title. I think that
agreed.
He has actual plans. And I'm gonna be honest, to be fair, he hasn't been in AEW long enough to build substantial relationships and feuds on screen to where I can say that he's going to have this long, interesting world title run if he wins in August.
Agreed.
Only person that he really has a decent history with is currently in the hospital.
True.
And I'm gonna be honest, they probably won't touch again until next year at Wembley. If we want to be quite honest.
But that's just my point in bringing that up is okay, so if we are if we're not going to touch the Ospreay thing, which I think we shouldn't. I don't think Ospreay should be in the world title scene right now, for the reasons that you just mentioned. But okay, so is Swerve's booking / the way that we're presenting him, are we adding fuel to that fire and that question and these problems, these, that they've sort of tried to solve already? Does that make sense? Like, are we re-suggesting? Because I think the more that you don't have the world title main event, the more it's going to be, it shouldn't be. People are going to act like it's a reflection on Swerve.
I think, I honestly, if it was up to me, I wouldn't have put a world title match on the card at all. I would have put Swerve and Team Elite. Not Team Elite, sorry, Team AEW. He could have been the leader. Obviously, the story is there. It would have made perfect sense for him to be this leader. And, heading into Forbidden Door, he's already said, like, who he wanted. So I think that he could have a great match, main event, with Shingo Takagi or something like that. Like, and then All In, I think that that's the perfect time for him to cross back paths with Hangman. And I said this to somebody earlier because Ospreay doesn't need to win the title from Swerve to be the man. He could win it from anybody and be the man.
Yeah.
The person who
even Wardlow. Go ahead.
No.
It might be a furry.
you. Damn. Oh
can I plead my case? All right. So I tweeted it as a joke earlier because he had a new shirt. It's like you half him, half wolf, and I was like, "Oh, the furries don't love this." And then somebody replied and was like, "No, go to his page. It's like all him and wolves." And I started looking a little bit. You start looking at what people have tweeted, and then you start looking at their likes, and you're like, huh. And not and then you start looking, well, I don't know if other people do this, and then you start looking at like other accounts that they follow. And not to say that he follows furry accounts, because he doesn't. I'm more trying to figure out, all right, which one of these is your burner? And which one of these are you a furry on? I don't have any evidence to back up.
You think he needs a furry conventions? Like, I'm not sure. Do they make them suit to his size?
I bet he could get a custom made. I bet them AEW checks clear.
You know how embarrassing that is to ask somebody to make that shit for you? Imagine Miss Sandra. You make them furry.
Hey, quick question.
Hey, hear me out.
What's that for? No, we're done. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just,
pay-per-view, it's the furry convention.
No, I am gonna do a show, but it's like a different kind, okay?
This is get it. Listen, and there's nothing wrong by that. Everybody got that one thing or two things that's their little shit. Like,
Time out. No. No. I think it's important to draw the line somewhere.
Everybody has their one thing that they would like, that they either collect, like, and I didn't even realize that as much. And I can't believe I'm bringing this up. The whole yarn lady debacle.
Oh.
And when like the yarn community started popping out on Reddit. Wow.
I was like, since when is there a fucking yarn community?
People are so serious about their little show. Like, they like everybody got their thing.
Me making friendship bracelets is not the same as Wardlow potentially being a furry.
But that's not Wardlow, that's Michael. Hey, listen. Whatever you do,
what you do on your own time. I'm an ally, all right? I don't know if I'm an ally to the furry community. I'm not sure.
I'm not an ally or an enemy. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to know. I just don't want to know. That's what it is. Like, I respect that y'all got y'all little shit, but keep me out of it. Like, like my little shit too. Like, it's not being a furry or anything. I got like Comic Cons. Like, I do love Comic Cons. I do.
It's different.
Yeah, man. Whew.
Why did we start?
But Will Ospreay. I was saying that Ospreay doesn't have to win the title from Swerve to be the man. Hangman can't reasonably become world champion without beating Swerve.
Agreed.
And so that's why I'm not saying that he has to actually win at All In. Even if they listen at that point, I don't give a fuck. I think I'll be drunk. I will be. I'll just be having a great time. But I think that for this year, that makes the most sense. I think that makes the most sense. It has Swerve and Hangman, even at the end of the MJF title reign, that was the feud that carried the company. It's consistently been the feud that everybody goes back to. Everybody is excited about. And I think that they would be idiots to kind of like pass it up. Because here's the thing. I think if you run Ospreay versus Swerve at All In, it's going to be like Ospreay Danielson in the way that it's a great match. A great match.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, like, and I feel like both of them deserve more than that.
I agree.
Like, I think that when Will Ospreay wins the title, in a perfect world, he's going to beat Kenny Omega for it, or he's going to beat Hangman for it, and it's going to be like heart-wrenching shit, and I'm going to be on the floor. It's going to be like the type of stuff that I need. And this is the difference, right? And so some people go into the Ospreay catalog. People are like, oh my gosh, like, what would you rank as his best match? And some people say Ospreay Danielson. But me, I'm going to say Ospreay Omega won. And I think it's because of the emotion, the sentiment. Like, that was a personal match. Don't get me wrong. Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world. Bryan Danielson is the other best wrestler in the world. But what he did with Kenny Omega, it was more than being the best wrestler in the world. It was about emotion. It was actual investment. Go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll wait my turn. No, I was just gonna say. So, Will Ospreay told Black Girl Wrestling that he thought that his match with Danielson was his best work ever. As a result, I'm going to watch every single Will Ospreay match that is available on the internet. I have already watched 133 Will Ospreay matches. I have a spreadsheet. I am, he said in the thing, he was like, yeah, autistic kids can just lock in. I'm locked in. So I will fully report back, everybody, what actually is the best match.
You know what? I thought I was crazy as hell, but you got it.
I never claimed to be normal.
You've watched
133 Ospreay matches so far.
Why?
Because he made a claim, and I can't allow that to go unsubstantiated.
No. I'm not saying like don't sort the claim, but like me personally,
what's wrong with you?
I would have just gone on Cage Match.
But here's the thing, right?
I would have like the top. I would have just watched maybe the top 30.
That's fair enough.
Between the top 10.
That to me, that didn't feel that's not the full experience. He said the best ever.
How many more do you have?
So here's what I did. I went on Cage Match. He has 533 matches or something ranked on Cage Match. Obviously, not all of those are like easily accessible. So I've had to get a little creative, whatever. So what I'm doing first is going and watching like his top 200 matches that I can find ranked on there. It's one of the reasons that me and New Japan World are beefing right now.
That's why you were upset. Okay.
Yes. But what's it called? So like his top 200 matches, and then I have a whole bunch of suggestions from a whole bunch of people that I'm adding.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch Rev Pro because Rev Pro has a ton of them.
Yep. So yeah, I've been getting to work. I don't know how long it's going to take me, and I gotta be honest, I don't know why I'm doing this. But at the end of the day, I will have a decisive answer for you as to what Will Ospreay's best match is.
That is the coolest hyperfixation I've ever heard of.
I need help.
No. You want to know what's crazy? I was actually considering doing that for Kenny Omega. Might do it before All In, before he returns. I'm not gonna lie. His catalog is too big. I will probably maybe the top 30, 40. The only thing is like Kenny's like, you got to go through those DDT. You have to go through New Japan. You have to go through AEW.
Nah, baby, I'm in the trenches. So I can only just imagine with Kenny.
It's the career is twice as long.
Yeah.
Legitimately twice as long.
I don't know, brother.
So how long has the matches been? So I'm assuming that a lot of them are like, like house show tags and stuff.
Yeah. So okay, so that's what else I'm doing. I'm only doing singles matches.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, okay, that would be everything he's ever stepped in the ring for. That's a bit. Okay. So only doing singles matches and only doing matches that are longer than 5 minutes. So I'm not counting squashes. Because I was like, I don't think the best match of your career can be a squash match.
And that's not a good
I don't think it is, Yeah. So those are my 2 parameters. I'm keeping track of, what that Meltzer guy thought and what that cage match people think. But at the end of the day, who's in charge? Me. I'm the pulse of pop culture.
You have like 3 columns. So you have like the one rating, you have the cage match, and then you have your rating.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see. Are you going to publish it?
I am. Now, here's my thing. I'm trying to decide, like, all right, I don't think anybody needs that much information. So I'm like, where do I cut it off? Where do you start to lose people?
So what year did you start with?
Oh, I didn't. Okay, so it's not in chronological order.
Oh, okay,
it's in the cage match ranking order for the first 200. And then, what's it called? And then maybe I'll go back and like make it chronological. But eventually, when I go and
did you start from best to last, or did you go from?
I started from best to last. Well, here's what I did. Also, this is, guys. Sorry, this is a tangent, but this is
this is great. Like, do you see the comments right now? People are legit.
I'm sorry, guys. But so what I did, I was like, okay, Danielson Ospreay is the like that's the one in question. So Danielson Ospreay, I watch like after every 3 matches that I watch as like a point of reference. So I'm like, okay, I watched these 3 matches and I have comments for like each one. I'm crazy. And then I go back to watch Ospreay Danielson and I'm like, were any of these better than Ospreay Danielson? Ospreay Omega is my favorite match. Ospreay Omega 1 is my favorite match. Also because Kenny Omega is my favorite wrestler. So I also have that as another like point of reference. Okay, if I do think it's better than Danielson Ospreay, do I think it's better than, Ospreay Omega? So the yeah. So I have it in my little spreadsheet now. And then when it's done, I'm gonna go back and reorder it in my rankings. Instead of like chronological, whatever, because I'm like, who really matters? Me.
Exactly. I think that that's so great. I want to see it. I can't wait to see it.
What I might do is like, I also have, guys, I'm a little tipsy, but I have a lot of things right now that I'm just like, why did I do that? What else I did? I said that I was going to make a thread of like every wrestler in AEW and how much I would trust them to lay my edges. There's like 150 people signed to them, and I did it. But I'm like, who needs all that information?
No, I'm not gonna lie. I did not know that you were going to do it.
I did. So I did like, I have a tier list, but I also have like every person and a reason for why they did whatever. But I'm like, these things, then again, I mean, I tweet for me. So
I think that this is the greatest thing ever. And this is why I do a lot of weird shit in my spare time. Not like, freaky ass nigga, you're a 69 god type
hopefully
weird shit. But like, I'm very, very much so like a real nerd. And I think even me now, as outspoken as I am, I get so ashamed. And I feel like sometimes like the internet, especially like with people's comments and stuff, I feel so ashamed sometimes for loving wrestling as passionately as I do. And honestly, hearing you talk about this, it truly made me feel so safe. And I'm sure that there's people in the comments that feel safe. Like, I think, I don't mean to go on a tangent, but I think somewhere along the way, especially on the internet, we have demonized loving wrestling,
liking what you like.
Like, it's just like, oh my gosh, you think you like matches? You watch wrestling for the matches?
Oh, you watch all the Ospreay races? Oh, you're degrading. 2 things, right? Here's my logic. Part 1, he told me that he thought it was his best thing. So who am I to not, follow up? He didn't say that to the rest of you bitches. That nigga told me. All right. Second of all, here's what it comes down to, right? All the people who are calling me lame are 45-year-old bald white men with neck beards. You would kill to be me. I don't give a fuck if you don't think I'm cool, bitch ass nigga. I respectfully. Oh, you think I'm a nerd? At least I'm young, hot, fun, smart. You're none of those things. So I actually don't care what you have to say, stupid ass bitch. Thank you.
You know what? I will say, I've loved wrestling for just about my entire life, but in college and in high school, and I definitely downplayed how much I loved it. And I don't think it was exactly
Cool or whatever.
cool.
Yeah.
And especially like when you're on campus and you're like a student leader and you're in all these organizations, nobody wants to hear from the dark-skinned black girl, yeah, I gotta watch Raw tonight. Nobody wants to hear that.
Did you guys see the match last night?
When you tell your friends that, oh man, I can't go to Dreamville this year, it's WrestleMania weekend. Ain't nobody trying to hear that shit.
I trying to hear that shit.
Especially when you're black. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, are you crazy? And I feel like surely in 2022, I went to my first pay-per-view, and it felt like for the first time in my life, I was actually living for me. And I will say, I truly have never had more fun than I have over the past couple years traveling the world, experiencing graps. I've done things I never thought I would do. I went to Japan by myself. I never thought I would leave the Southeast for the longest.
International.
For wrestling. I went to Wembley Stadium to cover wrestling. And it's just like, it was one of those things of like, once you, and I think we've said this on the show before, you can tell that a lot of people who hate online, especially related to wrestling, that they don't experience it live in person. Because when you actually do, when you start meeting people and you build a community for yourself and like you actually connect, you realize that you have more in common than wrestling. And also, there's nothing like being in a building with thousands of your best friends screaming to the top of your lungs.
And, you know, I will say the friendship bracelets also help a lot because I can vibe check so many people immediately. Do you want a friendship bracelet?
100%.
Okay, fine. Fuck you.
All right, bitch.
But being so for real though, not even playing, like after handing out the bracelets, after, you know, like meeting all these people and yelling and this, that, and the third, Osprey Danielson was maybe some of the most fun I've ever had in my life. And I'm like, I honest to God, I wish everybody had something that made them this happy. I really do.
It's really like that.
You want to sit up here and be like, you know, you're fucking lame. You can hate fun. Me personally, if I were you, I would go outside. I would get a hobby. I would find something that brings me joy. I love to hate. Hating brings me joy too. But you should have something to balance that out.
And also, I will say, like, man, there's nothing like, how do I say, falling in love with a wrestler for the first time? Like, because I will say, I didn't watch the New Japan Kenny Omega era live in real time. Like, I didn't. Like, and one day discovering this man, and like I spent hours and hours on New Japan World before the update, of course. And I'm just watching.
Well, we hate you.
Hours and hours of stuff. No, for real. Watching hours and hours and stuff of just. And like I remember like watching Shibata for the first time. Like I remember all of those things. So like, and I think before that, like don't get me wrong, I grew up as a wrestling fan, but I can't remember a time where the wrestling made me stand up on the bed, scream, cry, damn it, use the rent money to book a flight.
Bro, we said it last week. The way Kenny Omega, the joy that I get watching that man wrestle. If Kenny Omega has a singles match, I will be at all in. I have so much student loan debt, so many jobs, so many things that I need to be handling. But at the end of the day, if I have 2 kidneys and I can live with one, then guess what?
And I think people need to see women being serious about the graps about it like this. Like, nah, this is not a game. And I will say, when I go on these wrestling trips, half the time when I go by myself, but whenever I'm with other women, when I say the girls spare no expense, they spare no expense. Like all in, it was like, okay, it's a no-brainer, bro. Like me last year, like when I said, people were like, I've actually gotten like asked by people like who work at like certain wrestling companies, like, are you rich? Like, do you have money? I said, no, I'm just responsible.
No,
I said, I'm responsible. No, I'm still paying off that Japan trip. Oh God. And I don't give a fuck. I'll do it again.
Because here's the thing, the money will come back or it won't. But I know I'm a beater.
And guess what? The money will come back, but your 20 won't. And 2, you never know in the world of wrestling. Like you genuinely never know. Anything could happen. Like, for example, I remember heading into Wrestle Kingdom. People are like, oh, I'll just go next year. Guess what? 2 weeks after Wrestle Kingdom, Okada gone and Ospreay gone. Now what? Not saying that Wrestle Kingdom isn't worth going to anymore. But obviously, some things are never going to be the same. You can't replicate Kazuchika Okada in the Tokyo Dome, right? Like it's certain things like in wrestling, like same thing with like Sting and Revolution. I knew like I had to go. Like it's one of those things like who knows when you'll ever get this opportunity again.
I'll figure everything else out.
Just like even you being in the room for Dynasty, like hopefully we pray that there's going to be many more black world champions in wrestling, right?
But we don't
there's
know.
Never going to be another first. There's never going to be another first. And to be able to be in the room for that and to say like, oh yeah, like I'm like, that's big. It's certain moments like as a wrestling fan that you get to like write down in your little book and say, I was there.
I was there.
Jack Perry in Chicago.
Yup.
Was
Omega Vikingo.
I was there for Ospreay Omega too. I was there for both Okada Danielson matches. But in 2 different countries. I went to wrestling in 4 different countries last year. I'm fucking insane.
And that's the thing, man. At the end of the day, like when you're passionate about it, you stop talking about internet. Fuck you. You're right though. I didn't pay it. So what? Who gonna jump me? But I did get a really cool Okada shirt. Anyway, yeah. How did we start talking about this? But because I was talking about my Ospreay thing. So I mean, at the end of the day, to wrap it all up and get back to whatever, like you can if you love something, then let that be it, bro. It doesn't have to be like the best parts of life are the parts that are cringy and embarrassing. And because it means that you're putting yourself out there and that you care. So I don't really care what anybody thinks. Also, again, most of these people, I don't have respect for, I can't say that. Well, I can. I don't have respect for ugly people. Now that could be so general, and I'm not saying that's not one individual,
honestly,
or one demographic.
Ugly isn't just skin deep.
No,
a lot of bitches are really disgusting on the inside.
I've started calling people ogres.
That's a thing.
Yeah, shut up, ogre. But I'm testing that out. But I'm like, look, at the end of the day, I don't care what ugly people have to think. And if your heart is ugly, then you're ugly. That's that on that.
And I think also too, like people mock passion because they don't have it. And I'll be honest, like I've been having a bad week. I sincerely thought about quitting wrestling this week. I've changed my mind. But on Monday,
and a bitch couldn't text. Goddamn, you good?
I was in one of those things. It was just like no. I was in a mood where I was just like, no, if I quit right now, nobody gives a fuck about me. And that was. But I also had to remind myself, like when I originally got into this, I was completely alone. Like completely alone in a good way, in the sense of just like I didn't grow up having like friends who watch wrestling, so like it was always just me figuring stuff out. Like having other people commentate on like my mental brain dump about wrestling is still very new to me. Like it's still very like
and scary.
It's very scary because like I've never really experienced communicating things. Like when I tweet, it's never for attention. It's like a journal, and I need to stop doing that. Actually,
mine's sometimes for attention.
I need to stop doing that. Like, because sometimes I just be talking and like
diaries.
It's a journal.
100%. And then I'll be like, "Oh, the internet is public."
And then it's just like for example, like last night, I ended up seeing a tweet that I tweeted on Saturday. And somebody screenshotted my tweet, and it was had like 400 likes, and all of them like calling me names and shit, like all the stuff. And I'm glad that I had the self-restraint to not read it. I like saw one comment, and I was just like, I don't need to read this. Like, and said too, like I was like, I don't need to respond to this, but like I realized then of just okay, like my little thing that was just for me is no longer just for me anymore. And so like I think that's where a lot of like the dilemma came from of just like, should I quit? Because I was just like, I didn't sign up for this shit. Like at the end of the day, like I don't like some of y'all, but like I'm not the type of person who's gonna come in on your page and be like, you fat, ugly bitch, da 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 da. How dare you not like WWE or something? Like I'm not that type of person, but a lot of you are. A lot of you are. And
I wish a lot of your mothers would have understood their rights. I really do. And I think like I've had the same thing, especially like the past few weeks. I mean,
it's gotten crazy.
It's gotten crazy. And look, we haven't been around for that long. I know you haven't been doing this much longer than us, but we, I haven't
been around that long
either. I know. But we have been like Black Girl Wrestling, I just feel like it's been a crazy few like 2 months, really.
Yeah.
And starting to get like DMs and stuff from people in the industry, starting to hear like, everybody this, that, and the third. Oh, like, would love to hear your comments on this. Would love to see niggas in my DMs talking about, can I buy some promo from you? What?
It's like, and then the thing is,
all I do is thirst over to Gesta.
Like, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck the rest of this card. Like, don't get me wrong. We'll get to like the women's match and the elite stuff, but everything else, who the fuck cares?
This is
I think that for me, I think what I've been experiencing a lot lately is paranoia, because it's hard to know who to trust when people want something from you. Of just like the DMs of just like, it'll be people that you've never had an actual conversation with, like, oh, can you share this for me? Can you boost this for me?
Will you be on my podcast? I don't know you.
And not even like, can I come on your show?
Yeah.
And it's just more so like, and don't get me wrong, I love having guests on my show. But one, like, especially like the space that I provide, and what I want to be a safe space, much like you, for women, people of color, marginalized communities, and people who love particularly alternative international wrestling. I gotta be able to watch you for a bit first to know if you go.
I don't know you. I don't know how you move,
because I will shut the stream down, like, and it will never get aired, and it will never get posted, and you will get blocked
because it's representative of you too. That's what, like, I've had a bunch of people be like, oh, let me come on Black Girl Wrestling. One, yeah, I don't like a lot of y'all.
And the other day, like, I had a tweet go out. I said, I want more women, people of color, and their guests. I get DMs from all white men saying like, hey, I know I don't fit the criteria, but there's no but. Some things are not for you. And I feel personally of just certain spaces have been lacking so long for people who look like us. And specifically, there's not a lot of Black people, not even just AEW. Like, it's not a lot of Black people who fuck with New Japan or, Japanese wrestling, especially Black women. And I feel like suddenly these spaces have emerged for that. And I feel like some people are just like, but what about me?
I want to be in there too. Guess what, babes? This is Black Girl Wrestling.
There are a million. And you want to know how I know there's a million of these spaces? Because
they wouldn't let me on. So fuck you. I'm kidding. To a certain extent, I'm kidding. But like at the end of the day, and I literally tweeted the other day, bro, like, I want my side of wrestling Twitter to be Barbie land. All right. I want it to move like the Barbie movie did in the first, like hour or whatever. Like, you know what you're stepping into. All right. Know who's in charge. All right. And mind your fucking business, because at the end of the day, I understand that our little corner of the world is not reflective of the greater wrestling community. Nope. It's just not. So you're not going to take this from me. All right.
And absolutely.
And,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, my last thing I'll say about this, I also like, well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like what I'm sort of navigating now is also like sort of a perceived age thing, you know? Because I'm 21, but since a lot of people in the wrestling community are a little bit older than that, I think sometimes it's also a little bit patronizing and it's like, okay, you know, like, go get them, kid. And I'm like, I am starting out, but I'm also not dumb. And you're not gonna talk to me and act like I am. Shut up. And so, you know, like there's that, but also like I like my whole online persona is very intentional. I am bitchy and arrogant on purpose because you're gonna call me that anyways. All right. So if I'm gonna tweet, I'm gonna be like, my opinion is actually the only one that matters. So that when you come back in a response and I'm like, you think you're the only one that matters? Because I told you that.
Well, yes.
Well, yes. The people's princess. What can I say? You know, like it's having to take that on because I'm like, I'm already anticipating all the shit that you're gonna say about me because of my identities and the way that I present myself. I'm yeah. So I think it's also just Black women 3 steps ahead.
100%.
And if you don't fuck with it, suck my dick.
I think, well, yes. I would like to say, like, shout out to Keeks because when I came on her
Shout out to Keeks, man.
for the first time, and people can say whatever they want about her. I don't give a fuck. And this is why. When I came on Keeks' show for the first time, her having her women's business segment and telling men don't speak when other women are speaking and telling like men to shut the fuck up. I can't.
Life changing.
It's life changing.
Life changing.
For a woman to be able to, a Black woman to tell men, if you're coming in my space, you're going to be respectful to both me and any woman that's ever up here. And honestly, and that was before I even really like thought about doing content for real. And it made me be like, okay, if I'm going to do that is who.
It's how it works around here.
That's how it works. And then too, even the age thing, I completely agree. I was what, 24? No, I was 25 when I first got started. And that's still for wrestling super young. And like when I first started, it was like, oh my gosh, like this is cute.
This is cute.
But once you start gaining more popularity and notoriety, it goes from patronizing to your competition. And like there was a huge shift between the beginning of April when I first started. By Wrestle Dream, it felt like a complete 180 because your first scrum, it's cute. It's a fluke. The second one, it's like, okay, you're back. Love to see you again. Third, people see you as
all right.
It's like, all right.
Get up, get out of my seat.
When you, especially like, I think like the way that I did it was like, my first scrums were both out of the country. So it's just like, I went to Canada, then I was at Wembley.
How do you feel about Canadians?
I'll be honest, I wasn't around enough to really have like an opinion. Yeah. You know, I felt, and I hate to say it, but like at Forbidden Door, like in Toronto, it felt like everybody else was from out of town too. It seemed like everybody else was from out of town. Like,
see, I liked this crowd. I like this crowd a lot better than like when I tell you I am not
so much better. Oh, you're talking about like the crowds?
No. I meant like Canadians in general because like, I don't know. I feel like Canada could be fun, but my biggest fear is bears. So like I don't know.
I literally have only been to Toronto, and I'm gonna be honest, it didn't look much different than any big city.
Did you see Drake?
It was just anyway.
I hope not.
Toronto wasn't much different. I'm gonna be honest, and it was just clean. It was like a big city, just clean as hell. It was like a big city in the US. It just felt clean, and honestly, the conversion rate was a little bit, more in my favor. So I could. That's all I know about Canada.
Talk about there's no bears in the city. How would I know? Okay,
exactly. Hey, but I think that I'm really glad that you wrote that article that you did about like scrums and stuff, because people don't talk about that stuff. We always talk about getting there. Nobody talks about how it feels once you're there, and nobody talks about how it feels afterwards.
And here's what I'll say. I wrote it because I was like, honest to God, even if I never go back again, that's crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Certified lover boy. Anyway.
Oh, mija.
I forgot what I was gonna fucking say, but
You said why you wrote the article.
We totally lost the plot on this actual
why
show, but it wasn't that interesting. But what I was gonna say is my whole experience with the scrum. Like, I was like, well, obviously, guys. Also, if you didn't know, Lyric was the only way that I was able to get in.
You don't have to tell
people. Yeah, but it's important. I mean, like, I wouldn't have been able to get in there without Lyric and her guidance. Makes you sound like the people from Star Wars. Like,
please don't tell people I'm getting people scrum invites because I'm about to start getting DMs.
No, she just connected me to someone, and then they connected me to someone, and it's only because she likes me. She don't like most of y'all niggas, but I was gonna say, so don't DM her or I'll jump you. But I was gonna say, like, I think my experience at the scrum was overall a positive one. My experience after the scrum has been interesting. And I really went in there as like the belief, like, okay, I'll probably never go back. Like, I'll probably never have the opportunity to do something like this again. And like, that's cool. So I'm gonna tell people the truth. Because I'm not, this isn't my, we'll see. Because I'm like, did Lyric beat people up? Yeah, she hits people.
I did not beat anybody up.
She does. You guys may not know this about her. She hits people. So.
Well, yes.
Yeah. Well, yes. But yeah, so I had fully the belief of like, okay, I'm not going to the music scrum, so like, here's everything. And everybody didn't like that. So yeah, man, look, at the end of the day,
it's such a tame article.
It was so tame. I was like, I literally didn't even say anything. But apparently, I that's against etiquette. And it wasn't anybody in AEW. It was other people.
Of course it was.
Yeah,
of course it wasn't. Yeah.
And I was like, first of all, again, welcome. This is how things work over here.
You know what? And that's such it sucks so bad because like I'm not gonna say like you'll grow up, because obviously like this only happened like a month ago. But you'll see people on the internet and like it's not that you're exactly excited to meet them, but like you'll see that they're in the space and like you'll be like, oh, like you do something pretty cool, I guess. And I guess when you start speaking out, you expect that, oh man, maybe like the companies are gonna start hating me. It's never them.
Actually, I had several people from AEW like, that was a great article. Thanks for writing that. And I was like, thanks, guys. I was like, it's y'all random ass people random ass people with podcasts talking about this is not what you do. This is what I do. Fuck you.
Exactly. And I think it's more so the thing of people will constantly want to know, well, why her? And first of all, and second of all, and nobody's going to say this, but let's really get into it. It starts getting to this question of when do we start letting all these black girls in here?
They said we thought we got rid of Lyric.
Are they forming a team? Because everybody thinks like, are we forming a team? And the thing is, I would like to say yes, but also at the same time, like when you look at content output, respectfully, I'm gonna be honest, I don't follow a lot of podcasts. I don't read a lot of people's work because I'm gonna be honest, I don't care about a lot of people's work.
I don't listen to any podcasts except yours.
I listen to your work. And I listen to Keek's work and I listen to a few other people. And like the only white man that I listen to regularly is We Work Stiff from Australia. Shout out to Josh because I love his New Japan podcast. But truly, when you look at the output and when you see people literally come into the game and they're writing, and also what scares a lot of people is people who publish their own shit. Because a lot of people will not write unless, if this website won't cover it, this website won't publish it. Fuck that. Like me, I'm as a freelancer, like, yeah, some of the stuff I publish is for websites, but it's not because like they asked me for it. But two, if there's something that I know want to get, like the Black women in the Women in Wrestling Media survey, I publish that independently because no website is ever going to tell me that, oh no, this might be to this or this should be that. No, like,
nobody's proofreading my shit. I don't work for nobody, and I know that makes y'all mad.
I know
there's no boss to call. There's no complaint to file.
All the
Baby,
time.
this is all me. You want to take it up with the manager, it's at Dani Don't Miss, bitch ass nigga. So, I no, fully. And so look, I say all that to say, like, as we and others start to, step
Because
into
there
this,
are others.
because there are others.
There are others coming up, and I think like that's the cool thing too of just how do I say, I don't mean to step on no toes, but like a lot of people were/are comfortable with being the only, and this has been a pretty rapid progression of people coming up. Like I think of one of my favorite people is Natasha from Wrestling Rhapsody, who is, I remember we sat in a hey girl, we sat in a cafe before the Rev Pro show drinking smoothies in London. I remember she told me, she's like, wrestling just made such a big impact on my life. I just want to talk about wrestling and British indie wrestling. That's niche, especially for a Black girl to be doing it. That's some niche shit. I said, go ahead. And I think that now it's just being spread of what does being a Black woman in wrestling look like. I think it should have so many different definitions, and now it does. And a lot of people will tell you on the surface, oh yes, we need more representation. A lot of people are not happy about this shit at all.
No. And look, that's why they want you and me to be enemies so bad.
Like, yo, do you understand how happy I get when I see somebody else that's likable or but let alone look like me?
Bro, I'll be in lyrics comments fighting for her. All right, we're not against each other. We're against you.
I'm pointing emoji.
You know what else? And then I do want to talk about the elite stuff because I have more controversial takes. But you know what else I will say, right? I think, I hate to say this. A lot of you guys are threatened because you're boring. A lot of you have the same takes that you regurgitate. You are essentially the same identities, essentially the same, and you have no personality, and you're afraid to say something that might get your credentials revoked or make you, anything like that, whatever. Black Girl Wrestling it's me. I own it. It's not my day job. I'm not going to be intentionally rude or intentionally, I'm never going to go out my way to say something that I think is wrong to say, but I am going to say whatever I want.
Absolutely. And that shouldn't be controversial.
And that shouldn't be controversial. But those things combined with people who are A, either too afraid to say what they want to say, or B, too boring to have anything interesting to say is threatening.
And here's the thing, and the thing is, and probably the last point is, everything that y'all do, we can't do, and we're probably doing better. And it's not because
and that's why you're mad.
It's not because we're better, but I mean
that's part of it.
But I think that especially when it comes to the Japanese wrestling space, and I think even the AEW space, because it's more hardcore wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just typically people gatekeep the space by just assuming, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what Kenny Omega's G1 win was like. You don't know what it was like all Japan Pro Wrestling. But when you have the nerve to actually do know, oh my God, one is the shock. It's like the stages of grief.
What is she talking about?
It's
women shouldn't talk about wrestling.
It's the anger, and then it's eventually the acceptance, because I've gotten a lot of delayed acceptance from men who went looking my way.
Okay, fine.
I'm just okay, fine. We accept you're here now. Okay. Woo. Got it. Okay. She's here now.
Can I say something corny?
Yes.
And then we'll move on for real.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really, the only reason that I like that Black Girl Wrestling is starting to get some more attention and that we're starting to grow, whatever, the only reason that I really like it is because I don't want you and others to feel alone, because I feel like a lot of times you have been the target of things because you've been the only or one of the only.
Yes.
And I'm like All right, then you're gonna have to distribute that shit at least. And so when that shit is 50-50, and if you want to really get down, do it at Black Girl Wrestling, because I'm not the only nigga that run that page. So I got all day to go with you.
I think it's so funny too, because like it's so funny when people are just like, oh yeah, well, you say things because you want to be accepted or you're trying to make money or anything. Guys, I'm gonna be honest, if I wanted to make money off of wrestling, why the fuck would I cover AEW? Just respectfully.
They don't make any money.
Nigga, like in New Japan in 2024?
If I wanted to make money off of wrestling, I would rob Will Ospreay.
I would make money off wrestling. I would turn into that Alfred nigga from Forbes right now. Like right now. And I would be talking about like how Cody saved America or some shit.
When I start engagement farming for money, you will know.
You will know. I swear to God, you will know. It's not even just about it. I genuinely love wrestling. Like that Japan trip was.
Wait, you weren't kidding. Sorry, Dynamite Kid Dax Harwood is dead ass on Collision, bro.
Wait, what?
I thought somebody was playing. That's crazy. Sorry, go ahead.
Be watching New Japan Pro Wrestling. Yes, I will be watching New Japan. The Resurgence card is actually pretty fire. I'm not gonna hold you.
To you,
but well,
then again, you like this show, so clearly we differ.
I'm not sure. Like it's just more so liking the show. I think it was just more so, like I said, hyperfixation. I see Kenny Omega.
I smile.
The whole show is a 5 stars for me. Like I'm gonna be honest, fuck everything that happened.
Belt collector.
That was him in a hospital bed.
Made my week.
I only went to Japan because I thought that there was a mere chance of them doing Ospreay Omega 3. No, and like at that point, I thought Ospreay Omega 2 because I made my mind up on January 4th, 2023.
I'm going to the next
one. So I made my mind up then. Like, y'all don't get it. I'm willing to die for this shit.
That's what I said, nigga, I only need the one kidney. I did look it up though. Apparently people get caught like quite often. But you know what I've thought about? I was gonna say, only about 15 to 20% of people that commit arson ever get caught. So I could do like arson for hire.
Now tell me the odds for somebody black.
Well, maybe I blend into the night.
You know what? And this goes back to the point of just why would I ever want to go through this alone? Why would I seriously? I want somebody to give me a reasonable. What would I ever gain? What would I gain from trying to embark on any of this crazy shit alone? I just want to know what would I ever gain from that. I appreciate you in this space. I just want you to know.
That's very nice, but yeah. So I don't know. I feel like my odds would be a little bit better, but
well, since we're here, I want to speak quickly about Mariah versus Harley Cameron. It wasn't as bad as we thought it would be. However, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was expecting Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho type shit.
It
wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. I'm not going to say
I'm not trying to be mean because that's not, we 100%. I was gonna say we could have kept this on Rampage. We could have kept this in the draft.
Valkyrie. That's probably worse.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That's what I meant to say.
This went on for too long. We didn't need that.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm still not convinced. I think the reason why they did is because they needed somebody who was aligned with another woman, so Mariah could get beat down, so Mina could make the save. I just felt like this could have been better. And I'm gonna be honest, everything that Harley did well in the match, it was kind of discounted because the camera was constantly on Saraya and she was screaming on the outside. And I'm gonna be honest, at that point, I was completely out of it. I think Mariah May is amazing. We already knew that. I think that she's a ring general. I think that she's one of the best wrestlers in the division. But I'm gonna be honest, this should have been a squash match. And I'm gonna be honest, squash matches have no business being on Dynamite. Not for the women, especially when there's one match on the card. There's one match. I don't think, and like you said last week, like we just don't have time to waste. This women's division has come such a long way.
No room for that, let alone on Wednesdays.
And it's just at this point you have this 3-hour block. You literally have a 3-hour block. Send that shit elsewhere. Maybe it was more so like getting it with Mina's schedule, something like that. Like I'm I understand that too, but
and somebody said, Joseph said, can have nothing for the outcast with Ruby Soho pregnant. I'm okay with that. That's fine.
Exactly.
We could have kept that in the drafts.
But I think
life is so short.
I think the rationale is that, and I'm not saying that I agree with it because I'm perfectly fine never seeing her wrestle again. But with the money that they're probably paying Saraya is just like, we got to do something with her. We got to do something with her. I don't know. Y'all have
Saturday nights are all right for fighting.
Friday nights are all right for fighting. Friday nights, the gag is, I think that's also the thing too. It couldn't have gone on Rampage, especially if they had Mina come in specifically because Rampage is being taped with Collision this week. So like the biggest problem is honestly the playoffs. And I need them to hurry up and be over.
Me too.
But Mina did show up. It was great. Like I said, I think that the Toni Storm stuff, we just got to hold on until Double or Nothing. But I do think once we get to Forbidden Door season, it's about to get hot. It's going to get spicy. And it's going to get really exciting. Even if it's not her, it's going to be like, think about it. We're going to get stardom talent on AEW pretty regularly, probably in those last 2 weeks heading to
good.
And so I'm excited for that. Up next, I will say we had the main event. I'm skipping over everything in the middle. We had the main event, Adam Copeland versus Brody King. This was a million times better than last week. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely.
Didn't drag as long, and also Brody King, I just need you to go solo. Listen, that is what a lot of people blade and they want to call it a crimson mask. No.
Nah.
That was a crimson mask.
That was some real bleed.
That was Eddie Guerrero is smiling somewhere. That was a real.
I was going to say something gross, but probably shouldn't say it. No. What else do you bleed?
That was a real crimson mask, brother. I felt it. Willow felt it. We all felt it. And then after that, we had the CEO. Or obviously earlier, we had a really great promo from Willow. She had a black.
She's been great on the mic.
Listen. I've said this, but a lot of people are coming to the party for Mercedes, but they're going to leave having fell in love with Willow. Like, let's just be real. And that's coming from a Mercedes super fan. She's my favorite women's wrestler of all time. Because she hasn't wrestled, this build has largely fallen on Willow's back to carry. And she has done that. Over and abundantly. If you didn't see that match with her and Sky last week, wow. Probably the best match on AEW television from all last week.
It was.
And so it's going to be very interesting. I'm interested to see the crowd reaction in Vegas. Do I think they're going to turn on Mercedes? Absolutely not. Like she's going to get some heel heat in the match 100%. But like, is she going to get like go away heat? Absolutely not.
No,
but
of course not.
I think it's going to shock people, or at least shock some of her fans, how
good
big that Willow pop is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be absolutely huge. I think that Mercedes is a bad bitch, and like that wig, that outfit,
baby, that wig was laid.
Call her what you want, but you can't call her broke.
Never. Y'all wouldn't get it. Miss May.
At this point, somebody said, like, why can't Mercedes have one match on TV? Listen, Double or Nothing is 2 weeks from Sunday. If we waited this long,
we'll just hold out now.
No, I don't want to see her in a squash match with Harley Cameron on Rampage before that.
Keep it. That's not a debut. We don't need that.
At this point, her debut is for money, is money. And at the end of it is money. And like at the end of the day, Mercedes her card has been pulled several times in her career. And every time her card gets pulled, it was pulled when she went on her hiatus in WWE. And when she came back with that blue wig, came back better than she had ever been. It was pulled when she left. And when she went to New Japan, she came back better than she had ever been. And it's being pulled now. And yes, she has doubters. And I'm going to be honest, some of the doubts are valid. In the sense of there's a lot going on at AEW right now, and she hasn't been able to wrestle. She was touted as this debuted around the same time as Ospreay, Okada. We've gotten to see all these people wrestle except for her. This is a wrestling focused product. And so, yes.
But at the end of the day, she is that good to answer all these questions.
And she hasn't been sitting on her ass.
And so to me, it's like, yeah, I understand these questions and I understand these doubts even, but I know that she is that good. And
Absolutely.
So once she's able to prove that, I think a lot of these things will kind of answer themselves. I don't think that after she wrestles for the first time, we're going to be sitting here having a conversation about whether or not she was worth the hype.
I don't either. I 100% agree with you. And I think that how many times she proved us wrong? Like how many times? Well, proved y'all wrong.
I was going to say, I
ain't gonna lie, and the thing is, Willow being a transitional champion, I'm going to be honest, this is all MJF's fault. And let me tell you guys. MJF in your head that every first-time champion has to have a year-long title reign. And that is just simply not true. And I'm going to be honest, he shouldn't have had it. It burns me up every day that they let him break Kenny's record. It burns me up. It burns me up. And I'm going to be honest, Willow is in her 20s. She is going to hold so many more championships. And also, it's a TV title. And guess what? She's the best babyface in the company. Part of being a babyface is getting your ass whooped.
And it is. And look, Willow is good enough and over enough that her dropping the TBS title, she can be world champion.
100%.
She can. That can be her next step.
And the thing is, at the end of the day, even if Mercedes beats her, which I do think she does, they're still 1-1. They are 1-1. This feud is money. Like this feud is money. You know, money, if we want to be exact, in the sense of what I will appreciate, what I really do appreciate about Mercedes not being able to wrestle is I think it showed people how good Willow really is.
Yep.
And do we get that if Mercedes is wrestling on TV every week? I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure, just because let's just be honest, she overshadows sometimes, which happens when you're a megastar. But
yeah, but doesn't happen to Willow because Willow's that girl.
And I think part of that is because over the last few weeks we've really gotten to watch her shine. Like we've gotten to watch her shine. And she's not fighting people for TV time. She gets to be the it girl. And I think that even in loss, she will still be the it girl. And her versus Chris Statlander, which is obviously coming, that is money.
It will.
And honestly, I would hold that for Wembley. To be honest, anything under 4 women's matches for Wembley is stupid. And honestly, I consider it a loss. At minimum, we should have about 4 women's matches at Wembley. And I'm going to be honest, at least 3 of them should be singles matches. Yeah. And honestly, in my opinion, I'd say put every other woman on the card in a pre-match battle royal to determine who's going to challenge for the women's championship at All Out.
Absolutely.
So there's that with the women's. I'm going to be honest, Mercedes Moné, you are the baddest bitch alive.
That's promo 8. That's what they're saying.
Promo 8. We already talked about the women's match. Well, Mariah and Harley. Come on, Joseph. Yeah. You got to keep up. It's 11:51. We're about to close. And then lastly, we had the Elite come out. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to talk about the Elite, but you go ahead. Yeah. You go first. No, you go first because okay. I'm a hate. So go ahead.
I love this Anarchy in the Arena thing. I love Nicholas and Matthew Jackson being shitheads. I love Okada saying, "Can he get well soon?" That was funny. That was funny. And to be honest, I love Eddie Kingston being in it. I love Bryan Danielson being in it. And honestly, if that was all, this would be perfect. Like perfect. 10 out of 10, no notes for me. But unfortunately, Bald and Gunn are involved. And I'm gonna be honest, people say whatever the fuck they want, but hey, I don't care. If we're talking about Team AEW and people who have genuinely represented AEW and stood up for AEW, when I think about those people, there's at least 20 other people I would put in front of them than a FTR. I would put Sean Dean and Carly Bravo in there before I put FTR. Because let's just be real. FTR was not only willing, did throw the company under the bus. How many times since
every time they got the chance?
That FTR, the podcast with Dax Harwood, what was the first episode titled? Punk. Merely what, 3 weeks after the battle? Here's the thing, I hate to bring up all Brawl Out, but I'm not gonna lie, FTR, specifically Dax, played a huge part in why the discourse has lasted as long as they did. 100% fueled the fire. Because guess what? How many times did we get everybody, once it dies down, then another Dax podcast episode drops? What Punk thinks, what Punk said. At that point, why?
He's not going to kiss you. Here, let me say this, right? Aside from my hatred of Bald and Criminal, Commissary Cash Wheeler, I think I love everyone else in this match, and I don't want it to come across as though I don't love
everyone else.
Of course I do. You know, look at the material. Look at the material. FTR gowns, beautiful gowns, whatever. But I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense. And at the end of the day, I'm never gonna complain about Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson being added to a match because, come on. But I was really hoping that this would be a catalyst for us to start rebuilding the tag division. I really wanted that since the Bucks won the title.
Absolutely.
And I don't feel like it's been an emphasis much at all. And Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson are not going to be challenging for the title, for the tag titles.
Pause.
Well, they might, but wouldn't that be fun? They don't like each other. That would be fun, but they're not gonna win. You know, they're highly unlikely to win those tag belts off of them. So in my head, a little bit, I'm just like, okay, so what exactly are we doing? What exactly is the point of these 4 people fighting these 4 people? I also would have loved for Cash Money Kazu to have a singles match. I think it would have been extremely helpful to his cause as Continental Champion. I really was hoping that we would have the Bucks in a title defense at what's it called? At Double or Nothing. And also Anarchy in the Arena, I think should be reserved for when we're really mad. And I understand that we're a little bit mad, but like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, why? And maybe we have 2 weeks for them to explain it to me, but like, why does Bryan Danielson care? Why does Eddie Kingston care? And I know from like a individual character perspective, but enough to be in a team. You ain't been involved in this, you know. You was dealing,
especially a team with y'all FTR. I think truly, I'm gonna be honest. Everything you said is valid. I'm gonna be honest. I can ignore all of it. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of this shit is just like, okay, I can ignore all this shit. Like bro, I could ignore all of it. I would not give a flying fuck, to be honest, about it. Because at the end of the day, that's their problem. Like,
True.
It's y'all.
But really, what it comes down to, my problem was I was sitting there and I was like, where are those goddamn machine guns? Where?
100%. 100%. And
because that makes, so maybe it was just that for me, where I was sitting there and I was like, oh my God, Bryan Danielson. Damn, I really wish that we would have had, where the fuck are the machine guns? You guys keep saying they're coming and they're not here.
And I understand that it could be argued that, oh my gosh, that how do I say it? Like, okay, have they been in AEW long enough to like be considered team AEW? Maybe that's fair. But honestly, I just feel that there's just so win, because honestly, there's no tag, and I'm not talking about the machine guns, I'm talking about more so the tag belts. There's no defenses happening anytime soon between now and that and Double or Nothing. And then we're on the road to Forbidden Door.
Yes.
And the thing is, when is there going to be a time for the Bucks to defend the tag belts? Because let's be honest, if anybody who watches New Japan, they don't have teams.
What's a team?
New Japan doesn't have teams.
But that's what I'm saying, right? So like, I understand. I also think I would love to see this elite thing continue at past Double or Nothing. I don't think that we're at a blow off, anarchy in the arena. This needs to stop. Yeah, I think we could keep doing this. I think we could stretch this to the next pay-per-view. So I would have loved for this, instead of, and I do agree, somebody made the point, like, oh, if you're gonna call it Team AEW, you can't have the machine guns. Yeah, of course. I wouldn't have done this yet. I wouldn't have done this because so far there haven't been any title defenses to make them come across as they can't be beaten. There's nothing that anybody can do. We've tried everything. Y'all keep letting niggas get their ass beat, people. Get their ass beat. And it's like we have to put a stand. We have to put a stop to this. It doesn't feel like that yet. I would have done something else before I did this. I would have had them cheat in another title defense against, a high quality tag team against the Grizzled Young Vets, where's their graphic? Where's their graphic?
You know what? Let's talk about that. I think that, I don't know if this is the plan or not, but when Blood and Guts typically happens before Forbidden Door or afterwards?
Girl, don't ask me. I don't know.
I'm trying to think. I think it happens. Hey, it happened afterwards because it was the last thing that happened in the BCC Elite feud last year. And I remember they had that 10-man tag at Forbidden Door. So it happens afterwards. I think that AEW needs to run a special show, something between Double or Nothing and Forbidden Door. Because there has to be something for the actual product. I don't know. Like, it's just, we could have had Young Bucks versus GUIV by now. We could have had Young Bucks versus, well, damn, I forgot Hobbs is injured, because them versus Fletcher and Hobbs would have been great. But Blood and Guts is coming up, and the thing is, if they're expected to be in Blood and Guts too, it's just like, when is going to happen with these tag belts and this Continental belt? Because that's play too, especially if Okada is supposed to. Bro, what the fuck is Okada about to do on Anarchy in the Arena? We'll get back to that. We'll get back to that. But I think there's a lot of questions. And I think also too, are men even going to be in Blood and Guts? Because to be honest, if there was ever a year,
I vote no.
But I think that's the perfect way, because on a big show soon, we need some big title defenses, especially heading into All In, because now we're long-term booking.
Because look, no, I was just gonna say, look, I think you could make the argument that, okay, the Bucks can do this next, the Bucks can do this, like what can they do in terms of tag division? At the end of the day, it's got to be something. We haven't done anything with those belts since they won them, and we're not doing anything with them at the next pay-per-view. And the next thing that you're setting up, or the next thing that you're implying, is FTR again. We haven't planted that many other seeds for the division, so And honestly, if I'm going to be honest, I feel like we talked about how the Elite BCC feud went on for too long. And I'm like, all right, we've seen some of these combinations before. Obviously.
I didn't hate the BCC Elite feud, how long it went. I was, like I said, hyperfixation.
I actually didn't think it went long enough. But, but, that was the discourse of like, okay, like whatever. But like, we've seen some of these combinations before. We've seen, I don't know. It doesn't feel, to me, it doesn't feel all that.
It is because of FTR.
Revolutionary, or that it makes any sense. And FTR, you ruin everything.
Bro, when I say none of this, I don't think we would be having this conversation as deeply right now if it wasn't for FTR, because
if it was literally anybody else.
I am sick of this shit. I am tired of it. And it's not even just because I hate FTR. I'm tired of the Bucks versus FTR. You have to think they just had a fucking ladder match.
That was enough.
At Dynasty. They just had a ladder match.
Aren't you supposed to be in jail? When is that happening? Huh? When are they coming to get you? Because that seems to be the only way we can stop this from happening again.
Hey, listen, that man got arrested and made it to Wembley the next week. Let's not.
Where is your parole officer?
I don't know. I think that's what I am most frustrated about that, of just, we just saw FTR Bucks. Like, I'm gonna be honest, you want to know who I really wanted to see it in there? It's a very inspired choice. I would have loved to see Daniel Garcia on Team AEW. I think it made a lot of sense for him to be on there. I would have loved to see Mark Briscoe, because I think that Mark Briscoe would thrive in Anarchy in the Arena. I think that, hey, if you want, now that I know he can do a hardcore match or two, push him out there. Shit. Give me something. Give me the Okada Shibata tease and AEW via Anarchy in the Arena.
Something.
Both of them being in new environments.
Involved in this.
I just
know other people work there. I just know it.
Going to convince me that, oh my God, FTR standing up for AEW, because
they
now
haven't gone away.
Now I want the Bucks to heal harder. I want them to get worse.
Go away.
I want Jack Perry to do some nut shit, y'all. Like, now I feel like, and the thing is, it's crazy that all of this is happening because the Bucks have done some crazy shit. Like, they literally laid out Tony Khan, like they laid out Kenny Omega.
It happened.
And because FTR came out now, I feel like it's not enough. Now I'm like,
get him again.
I need you to do more.
Tony Khan's dad, you're not safe.
Finish him. Sorry. Like, I understand that FTR are all for AEW now. Truly, that's a good thing in the sense, because
they re-signed that contract and got that
the tag division needs depth. And let's just be honest, they didn't have another WWE run in them. And the reason why is because that schedule with Dax's current body is just not going to work. It's just not going to work.
I got to be honest.
That's wrestling content.
I don't care.
I
don't care.
Like, my thing is, like, at this point, I just don't care. And it's not even more so like, oh, I hate them. I think
that's separate. I do hate them, but also I don't care about you. I don't care about this matchup again.
No, I just need something new. I think I need something fresh. And I'm gonna be honest, in every piece of wrestling that I watch right now, and it's not even just AEW, I can't believe this. WWE has the best tag division in wrestling right now.
And part of it is like I'm sitting there and I'm watching, Kenny and the Elite. No part of me was sitting there like, you know what this could use? Fucking FTR. No.
Bro, that's
not. But what I was gonna say was, honestly though, if we want to get for real, I think that the last Bucks FTR was very good. It wasn't the best match on the card. And you have this rivalry that's supposed to be prestigious. It's supposed to be the top of the top. And it has been. And you weren't the best match on the card. You weren't what people went home talking about, even though it was a fantastic match.
And don't get me wrong, to be fair, they were on the same card as Ospreay Danielson.
Which is fair. But I would argue you probably shouldn't have done it then.
I'm gonna be honest, and let's keep it a stack. There was a time where a match for the tag team titles could easily be match of the year. And yes. We haven't gotten back to those. I'm gonna be honest, when I hear that the Young Bucks are tag team champions again, I expect Young Bucks versus Hangman and Omega. I expect, even in their transitional run, guys, like their transitional run gave way to
Lucha Bros.
Not even that. I was going to say it gave way to what ended up being probably the last best strand for the tag division, which was Swerve in Our Glory, ending against Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. And that's when the Acclaimed were hotter than ever. Mm-hmm. And then they dropped to the guns. So FTR
we lost the plot. And we
lost the plot ever since.
But
yes.
But that's what I was saying. Like, I hate to say it because the match was great. I think you did that last rematch too early. And since it got outdone by another match in the card, the prestige of even this matchup is not the same as it would have been like a year ago.
No.
And so now we're sitting here and I'm like, these bitches just won't go away.
I don't want to see them around each other. Like,
no, I don't.
I don't even want to see them around.
But you know what the problem is? What? I don't think they know what else to do with FTR.
Nope. I agree.
What else do you do with FTR?
I agree. And it's just like they in the back, and it's just like now they're like, well, we're all in, and we're company guys, and it's just like,
hey, my daughter.
Like, there's new tag teams knocking at the door. There's people like, for example, I really liked what I saw the other week from Garcia and Shibata. I think that they should team up. If they don't have plans for them as singles competitors, I think that they need to be competing 100%. My thing is, like, at the end of the day, it's a lot of people. I feel like you don't hear as much rumblings anymore about people wanting to get out their contracts anymore, because guess what? There are no options anymore. Even though there's two companies, that doesn't mean there's options. AEW ain't giving out contracts like they used to. WWE ain't giving out contracts like they used to. And it's just one of those things of just, it's just like the job market for the rest of us. If you're not dying, you might want to stay where you
at. And I mean, look, I think that this Anarchy in the Arena match will be good because of, look at everybody involved. Bald and Hair will also be there. But I think at the end of the day, I don't know if we need it. I don't know if this is what the company, the division needs right now. It will be fun. It will be good. This doesn't feel all that fresh. To me, this doesn't feel all that, all that new. And I think that we could really use something like that right now.
I agree.
And before we leave, can I, one small thing.
Do you want me to play the song again?
Oh, no. But yes, but I have two small things. One,
yes.
Guys, okay. It's almost my birthday. All right. And as a result, I mean, not really, it's a couple weeks, but I want to put this out there, right? I want, like, my whole goal, I don't want anyone to tell me happy birthday or anything like that. I want everyone to tweet at Adam Cole and ask why he didn't come to my birthday party. All right. I don't know why that's so funny to me, but I just want it to be, that's the thing. Like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you go to her birthday party? Because I think it would be very confusing, and that's fun to me. Second thing I want to say, where's Takeshita? Not even from a oh, I love Takeshita standpoint. And I saw what Charlie commented, because I tweeted, I was like, okay, we teased Mox Takeshita, and then we haven't seen either one of them.
Takeshita might still be in Japan.
Yeah, I think he is. But why did we do that if we haven't seen either one of them? And we have the Takeshita match scheduled for last week and then cut it for time.
That was fucked up.
Crazy. Chris Jericho, this is all your fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, and obviously Mox is, over there putting in the work. But that was just something I was like, okay, I thought that this Dynamite was lacking superstar power in the ring.
Absolutely.
We had superstars that were there, but they wasn't wrestling.
We were missing the it boys.
We
were missing the it boys and girls, actually. Especially
in the ring, because a lot of them was there. They spoke
because there was no Ospreay, there was no Takeshita, there was no Bucks match, there was no Okada match.
Most stacked roster in the world. I'm gonna need y'all to come a little bit harder.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, don't get me wrong, this week I know like some people had different commitments. Like Takeshita's in Japan, Mox has a New Japan match, but I don't mean to like be like saying like this is make or break, but no, next week seriously, and the week like these next
last week wasn't good. This week wasn't good.
I think this week was decent for storyline progression. I think like they definitely like set up some more things, but next week needs to not set things up. We need innovation that excites. No, like seriously, we need innovation that excites. I think that's also the thing too that like about the tag division is, I'm not gonna lie, I like Top Flight, I really do, and I like Private Party, I really do, but I haven't seen the match yet. Like the match. And I felt like, and I'm not sure, maybe it's because of the injuries, because they both experienced so many injuries. Because I felt like before the injuries, I definitely saw it, but I haven't seen the match yet that I think is going to inspire and excite. And I'm worried.
That's fair enough, but I would argue I see it in both of them, Private Party and Top Flight, and I would argue that there are a lower risk as far as like tarnishing the belts. I think that taking a chance.
I don't think they'll tarnish.
I know, but I just mean like we let the guns be champions.
Well, yes, I agree.
So I'm like taking a chance on people that are talented and can get over, even if everything hasn't necessarily clicked yet. I'm like, at this point, the Bucks aren't defending the belts. FTR is acting like they're the only tag team that can challenge for them.
We're also barely having tag matches.
We're not having tag matches, you know, and
the tournament was a missed opportunity. 100%.
Absolutely.
1,000%.
And so I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I know if you put the belts on Top Flight, I don't know what you would do from a storyline perspective. I don't know, but I know they would wrestle, and I know they would be high quality matches. Correct. And at this point, I'm kind of willing for the trade off.
That's what I said. I think a happy medium. Like I said, I would put the titles on Garcia and Shibata. I think that you can do a lot with them from a story perspective. I think you can do a lot with them.
Absolutely.
I think like one with Daniel Garcia, like going back to the trunks and the towel with one of his heroes. And it's not in the Chris Jericho way. It's in an actual wrestler type of way. I think they complement each other very well. And I think that's a beautiful story that should play out, at Wembley Stadium. I think that there's so much. I think there's so much territory, and I'm gonna be honest. Some of y'all that's sitting in that locker room, find a friend. Like I have what else to tell you. Like find a friend, and I think like there's so many people who are heating up right now, who could be heating up right now. Just I don't know. Like I agree, but like there's missed opportunities. Like for me right now, this card is the world title match. It is Anarchy in the Arena, and it's Willow versus Mercedes. Everything else, I don't know. Well, obviously the Ospreay match, because I mean, it was Will Ospreay. And that's a minimum 4.5. But we need innovation that excites. Like truly. Like, and I mean that in the sense of very few things in wrestling, period, I can say like I walked away breathless and I think that up until like FTR came out, the Kenny Omega promo, that did that for me. Like, that did that for me. Like, that did that for me.
Kenny, no.
Like, Hangman and Swerve, that did that for me. Like, of just like, I walk away thinking about this all week of just like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? There's very few things that's doing that right now. And I'm going to be honest, the Elite stuff, it really does. It does feel like that for me. But I will say, like, it's just that. it's really just FTR of just like, I'm gonna be honest, I have no desire to see, because the thing is, if y'all wrestling again now, what's gonna stop y'all from doing it again at Blood and Guts?
Nothing.
And
they're gonna keep
it's the
doing
precedent.
it.
It's like the Jericho stuff. When I said, like, you know, once they get started, and then oh my gosh, if you think y'all, if you
we need to, a lot of us need to get a lot better at casting spells. I think that's the only way we're gonna get rid of some of these people.
Oh, that wasn't what I was gonna
Some
say.
of you bitches need potions.
It's like, y'all,
get your cauldrons out.
My thing is, I hate to say this, if you think AEW is bad, and if you think that you are frustrated right now with this AEW tag division, Forbidden Door is going to be a very sick time for you. It's going to be so sick. Like when I tell you, New Japan Pro Wrestling, loved it to death. They have 4 tag teams, and like literally, they made them wrestle each other so many times to the point where they're just going. They're literally
no combination.
They booked them. They're putting them in just a 4-way match, and they're like, okay, just win the fucking belts. They've tried to unite the belts. They've split them back up. They've done all the things, and y'all, when I say if you think this is bad, you ain't seen shit. Like and that's why I'm worried for Forbidden Door, because it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm not worried about Okada, because at the end of the day, there's about 5 people lined up in New Japan right now who want to fight him. There are several. Now, as long as one of those people is not Ren Narita or Yuya Uemura, we are fine. We're so fine. We're great. It's gonna be great. If you think it's bad, wait till Bucks versus Bishamon. Listen now, I ain't gonna lie. Bishamon,
no,
are they the most exciting team in the world?
No. I won't allow you to say that on our show.
They are the San Antonio Spurs of professional wrestling. They are solid. Old Faithful. That's what they used to call Tim Duncan. Old Faithful. Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi. You know, they are down the middle wrestlers. I
wish the mute button worked for other people, because there's no way we're doing this.
You will never convince me that they are a bad team when Chase Owens and Kenta exist.
Fair enough.
Like Bishamon,
but also that means the ball is in hell.
I think Bishamon, the biggest problem with Bishamon is truly like, it's not that they're bad, it's because of the lack of the depth of the tag division. It's more so overexposure. People are tired. They have pulled every trick out of the book that they have. Okay? And also, my dog, Big Goto, is getting old. Yoshihashi is getting old. Like, I'm going to be honest, like, New Japan, that's why I said, like, we got to fix some of this shit before Forbidden Door are those guys. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be a great time, especially now that, like, so CMLL and Stardom are involved. Like, at the end of the day, luchadors spice everything up.
True.
But on this AEW side and honestly, the AEW side could be fixed, especially with the signings of MCMG and like hopefully grizzled young veterans. But New Japan, that tag division, woo, both heavyweight and junior, good God. But yes,
this might be the sleepiest edition of the Dynamite Book.
Yes,
thanks for sticking with us.
Thank you. This has been fun.
Really yapper.
It really has been fun. I'm really glad we vented for half of it about our experiences, but you know what? It's our show, it's our rules, and 545 people are watching.
No way.
No, like no, dead.
Okay.
Like the views that we get on this show really shock me every time. Like
I'm like, all right.
They really be staying up to
I didn't even like Dynamite. So I'm like, glad y'all like it.
I feel like truly when people hear that you don't like something, that's when they tune in even harder. They say, what does Dani finna say tonight? They say, what is the bitch finna say tonight?
I did talk about arson quite a bit. Bad. I got a good lawyer though, so I'm good.
Okay. Well, on that note, where can we find you?
Me? What? I mean, there's nobody else here. You can find me at Tandy Don't Miss on Twitter and at Black Girl Wrestling on Twitter and on Instagram. And guys, please spam Adam Cole asking why he's not going to my birthday party. And Lyric, yourself.
You can find me on social media at Lyric Wrestling. You can subscribe on YouTube at Lyric Swinton. I had something to say. What did I say? Oh, guys, I am debuting a new series. I'm really excited about it. It is just for fun, though. It is just for fun as of right now. But on this new series, I am going to be talking about non-wrestling things. I'm super excited. It's because I've developed yet another hyperfixation about X-Men 97, and I just need to talk about it. And I need to stop talking to myself. So this is I'm not gonna promise to do this weekly. Not gonna promise to do this on a regular basis. Probably just gonna be whenever I get the fancy. So expect me to talk about X-Men, Doctor Who, or some shit. I don't know, the Bear when that comes back, because duh.
I've never seen any of these things, but okay.
Would you like to? Okay.
I go when I watch my little Osprey matches and I play with my little spreadsheets, and then
my thing is I do those type of things too. So I'm like, am I actually crazy? It's just I need to pick one. But
fair enough.
I can't.
That's me with F1 though.
No, one of my best friends from college, one of my absolute best friends, he's obsessed with F1, obsessed. And the thing is, he used I have YouTube Premium, so I have no ads. So he uses my account because I'm
a rich girl.
Well, no, I actually got it for wrestling because I hated ads when I watch old Japanese wrestling. And like I said, obsession. But he lives in Dallas, and I remember I logged into his TV when I went to go to our Final Battle 2022, and he's never logged out. And so I always find F1 videos and car videos in my watch history, and I know I didn't put them there, and they're always from him.
Sir Lewis Carl David Hamilton.
He loves Lewis Hamilton. That's his favorite racer. That's his favorite driver.
Love of my life. If you think I don't shut up about Kenny Omega, I only made a Twitter to talk about Lewis Hamilton.
Didn't you say that he's the Kenny Omega of Formula One racing?
Yes, he is. Notice how those things work. The goats. But yeah, so I'm also, this is also a sneak peek. And then I promise we are going to leave eventually.
Yes.
But I'm also working on, we are trying to expand Black Girl Wrestling into more just generally sports. So my sisters and I are starting to also talk about things. Yeah, that's true. I did dodge. Yeah, just like Adam Cole. I don't know why he won't come to my birthday party. But yeah, we're going to expand into more sports. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to be covering F1 as well as football and softball. And my sisters are also going to be, my co-CEOs are also going to be putting in more work for more Black Girl sports. So keep an eye out on that and support it, or else I'm in your walls. How about that?
Real. I have been watching WNBA. So I've been tapping in.
Yeah, Indiana Fever, let's go.
We're in the preseason. So we're in the preseason right now. So I watched, New York Liberty versus Chicago Sky. What was that, last night? Yeah. So I root for whoever has a Gamecock on the team. So that typically ends up being the Aces or the Fever.
Boston.
Or Aces, Fever, the Sky. We are everywhere. My national champions are everywhere. Right, so super exciting. But yeah, guys, I'm delirious. I'm delirious, but as I promised I would play this one more time.
To the cross, he walk around like Tizo. What's up with these jabroni ass niggas trying to see Compton? The industry can hate me. Fuck them all and they mama. How many options you really got? How many
I want to throw ass,
options? I finna pass on this body. I'm John Stockton. Beat your ass and hide the Bible if God watching. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas. Certified boogeyman, I'm the one that up to score with him. Walk him down whole time, I know he got some hoe in him. Pole on him, extort shit, bully the flow on him. Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. To any bitch that talk to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from him. They tell me Chubb's the only one that get your hand-me-downs. And party at the party playing with his nose now. And Baca got a weird case. Why is he around?
Hey,
certified lover boy, certified. Fuck him up. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. like us. They not like us.
All right, bye, y'all. I'm in the stream.